I first met Shanks. In fact, I got a telegram before I actually met him. And when I got picked for Scotland, he says, "You're now the best wing half in the world," he says. Not in Scotland, in the world. He said, "When you pull the Scottish jersey over your head, son," he says, "the lion will grow twice the size it is in the jersey. And just run about," he says, "and the jersey will take care of the rest."
What the Scottish football jersey has been asked to take care of is an awful lot. For many Scots, an international match becomes a kind of fever chart of the nation. The graph of national self-confidence has for long been affected by what happens on the football park. A good team is a tonic. A bad one hits the country like a virus. Any player who pulls the emblem of Scotland over his head finds at once a crowd. A good result will send Scottish self-doubt into remission. A bad defeat can amount to a national relapse.
This is Wilshaw's fourth of the match. He's the first man to score 4 in a big match at Wembley.
Gamble.
One great goal can restore some confidence.
3-1! A brilliant individual goal!
I mean, we lump national expectations on 11 lads who happen to be good at playing football. And we do that more than any other country in the world. And it is absurd. I mean, there are a lot of reasons, I think, for it. I mean, football is one of the few games that Scotland plays independently on the world stage. And we don't compete as a separate nation, say, in the Olympics or something like that. So football is overwhelmingly more important than it should be in Scotland, and always has been.
The desire to see what we need to see happening on the field can be intense enough to bring on colour blindness.
It's a penalty kick to Scotland. Up goes the hand and the punch, if ever there was one. McLeish. Oh, that was a push, surely. Is that a goal? It is by Rush. Oh, I thought it was a push.
Well, there's no doubt at all it is the self-destruct. It's, I think we have an good conceit of ourselves. We think we gave the world the game, and what we have forgotten, all of us, is that the world caught up and then overtook us.
That's Junior.
But perhaps if Scots had a surer sense of themselves in other areas, the loss of a goal in a football match wouldn't make them feel that other countries were stealing their birthright.
Yes, Joe Jordan, and it keeps
Or that a near miss was a national disaster.
Oh, Billy Bremner.
Or that a victory means more than being good at a great game.
Nicholas, he's done it! Oh, brilliant play! Oh, what a goal!
Football in Scottish life is about much more than sport. It's really the arena in which Scotland and Scots assert themselves and play a role in international affairs. Scotland is a poor country. That's the main thing to bear in mind. It's not just poor in the financial sense. It's not just poor that people are unemployed. That, of course, is true. But it's poor in the sense that there is no focus for Scottish public life. There's all sorts of minor focuses. There are all sorts of cultural events. There are all sorts of Scottish national institutions. But there's no genuine public focus, no arena for Scotland to assert itself and for the Scottish identity to be seen. And by the way, no place for people to take responsibility for their own actions. So you're forever blaming failures upon the English because they're the guys in charge. And this gets, I think, displaced into football to a very real extent.
When the guys in charge elsewhere remain in charge on the football field, a mild national paranoia can hover near. As one bemused Scottish fan was heard to ask in Argentina, will we ever do anything right? And when we do, we can be just as quick to exaggerate its importance.
Of course, we're accused all the time, as you know, of having a pervasive and very defensive sense of inferiority about the game. I've always insisted that that's not entirely true. I think the truth is that we have a deep-rooted conviction that the rest of the world is conspiring to conceal how marvellous we are.
It's a far-reaching conspiracy. A country as distant and underdeveloped as Peru can act as if they had never heard how good we are.
On top of the single, and it's 1-8.
The emotional importance Scotland has invested in the game of football can often rebound on us.
Space for the shot. Oh,
Scotland had started promisingly enough. The early games against England were sporting contests, so genteel in their intentions that the tickets might have read "Monocles will be worn." But the popularity of the game with the industrial working classes demanded a more robust commitment. The winning of a Scottish cap came to carry with it a responsibility to match the honour. The players were expected to convey through football, like a code, an expression of Scottish nationality. The need for that expression was always at its most strident against England. A Scotland-England international became a means for Scots to reclaim, however briefly, a separate sense of themselves from the country whose parliament had absorbed their own. The skills of football players became a primitive grammar for expressing feelings that had no other language. The message was essentially a public contradiction of the more patronising assumptions of the English.
I look upon Scotland as part of the British Empire, as it were. You know, I was brought up as a kid and we had all that pink on the map, and we used to look and say, isn't it marvellous, you know, look, we own all this. It's gradually receded as the years have gone on, but I hope that Scotland's still with us. And the same with Ireland. And that isn't just affectation. That's the way I was brought up as a kid. And living through the war as a teenager when, you know, I mean, the Australians, they were fighting for us, the New Zealanders. I have nothing against them. I love them, same as the Scots, just the same in my book. So it is rather strange that they look upon me as some kind of, you know, tribal totem pole to stick pins in all the while. I don't mind, it's quite a compliment, I suppose, really.
It probably isn't meant to be. On the football field, the United Kingdom still shows the joins. Sporting skill is a declaration of difference, and every goal a celebration of a distinct identity.
There's a strong sense that we should do England every time we meet them, and everybody enjoys it. I certainly love doing that. Sometimes I get the feeling that they would forgive us for failure in the World Cup as long as we continue to do the English.
I think we hate you, really. No, I mean it. No holds barred, because I know the same applies. And I've seen it in dressing rooms with Scottish and English players who are combined, at Ipswich, if you like. You know, where this Scottish result v England results has flared up. Not to a punchy situation, but close to it.
In 10 minutes, Johnson hit the bar with a hard
The intensity of the rivalry has meant that a Scottish victory is more than a football result.
Doherty takes a free kick, and it's a goal from 60 yards.
And despite the relief of a spectacular Tommy Doherty goal, Scotland's 7-2 defeat from England in 1955 remains a wound in the memory that no amount of wry humour has quite healed.
Well, you should say it was like Dracula, he hated crosses.
And it's 5-1.
You know, Freddie was at a Crocus, like, he came out once a year.
6-1.
I scored one of the goals in the 7-2. I think that's all I did, actually, in the 7-2 match, because the fella I was supposed to be Martin Dennis Walsh, I think he got 3 or 4. And the England murderers, Duncan Edwards, his first game for England as well. But I think the real reason that particular day was that, you know, there were so many Celtic and Rangers players in the team, actually, and we played with an orange ball, actually, and you know, the Rangers players wouldn't kick it, and the Celtic players wouldn't touch it. So maybe that's one of the reasons why we got beat 7-2.
Even more painful for Scots was the 9-3 humiliation in 1961.
You do get friendly matches, and you know, people talk about friendly matches between Scotland and England. Well, I mean, they're friendly to the extent that the players will be shaking hands at the end of it, and but as far as the match itself is concerned, there's going to be 90 minutes effort there. I mean, that is the one match they all want to win. I mean, you asked Bobby Robson what it meant to him to be on the England team that had a victory that I won't dwell on.
As the massacre proceeded, goalkeeper Frank Haffey's black armband began to take on an extra significance.